Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here with the Retirement Group. Today I'm going to go over some of the different pension plan options that we see from time to time with a lot of our clients as well as our prospects with different employers that we work with. The Retirement Group does work with close to about 30 different companies, so a lot of those individuals will have a pension plan, and there's various options you may face when it comes time to elect your pension choices. So today we're going to go over those distribution options as well as touch on interest rates and how they affect lump sums. So if anybody has any questions and wants to look at their situation in greater detail, again, feel free to reach out to us at 1-800-900-5867. Now, for those of you that have not sat down with us before or don't know who the Retirement Group is, we are a independent financial advisory firm that, again, like I said, focuses on helping corporate employees transition into retirement. Our job is to make sure that you understand all your company plans and your benefits, and make sure you don't make any mistakes as you transition to retirement. Then obviously we'd love to work with you post-retirement, so we hope you throw our hat in the ring. But if anything, we want to at least make sure you don't make any mistakes. And if we can't work with you, hopefully you'll spread the word to somebody else. We've been doing this for close to 30 years or so. We've got offices throughout the country. But again, our biggest benefit is the knowledge on your company plans to help you understand where you are, and ultimately we want to run a cash flow analysis for you, which is complimentary. That will help you determine when's the best time to retire, and then also look at the various choices with your pension plan, your 401k, and medical. So whenever we do transition to retirement, most of the individuals we work with will have three sources of potential income. Number one is going to be your Social Security, which again, you can take that as early as age 62 or defer it to as late as age 70. Now we do provide a Social Security analysis, so if anybody wants to go through that to determine the best claiming strategies, we can help you there as well. You also have your 401k plan, which is your defined contribution plan. That's a contribution plan, in which case you and the company have been making contributions over time, and that will grow to whatever it is at this point in time or retirement. And then once you decide to retire, you can tap into that for distributions to supplement your income. And today we're going to talk about the pension plan. Sometimes you may have severance or you may work in retirement, but you will also potentially have a pension plan. And there are different sources or different ways to actually take that pension plan depending upon the company. Now, again, we do a lot of work with many companies like United Airlines, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, ExxonMobil, AT&T, Merck, Verizon. There's a long list of companies we work with, but ultimately every single company is going to have a slightly different pension plan. But for the most part, they are going to have that, and you may qualify for either the annuity portion or the lump sum or a combination of those. So some of the different payments that you're going to see with the pension. I mentioned the 401k is a defined contribution plan. The pension is a defined benefit plan, in which case the actual benefit that they're going to pay you is defined. The old school pension plan is usually a calculation where it takes a look at your years of service, your final average pay, to determine how much they're going to give you for the rest of your life, and then the other options are calculated off of that. There's also what's called a cash balance plan, where every year they make a contribution based upon your years of service at a specific percentage rate, and a lot of times that's tied to the treasuries, and you'll have a slow growth associated with that. But the classic plan, again, is going to determine a single life annuity. So let's say that somebody runs their pension analysis and it comes out that they're going to be making $3,000 a month for the rest of their life. Now, from that point, there may be some alternative options. There may be alternative annuities, in which case you can look at a period certain, where you would add a period of either 5, 10, 15, or 20 years of certainty. That would reduce that amount from $3,000 down a little bit, because you know that you're going to get at least a certain amount. If you're married or have a significant other, you can do a joint survivor. You may have the option of doing 100%, 75, 60, 50, 25, 1%. It really depends upon the companies. Some companies do have a uniform code, not too many anymore, but a uniform code allows you to actually have the same amount of money before and after Social Security kicks in. So if 3,000 was your number, you might be getting 3,000 now, and then Social Security may kick in paying you $600 a month, so then they drop it to $2,400, so that way your total is still going to be $3,000. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the interest rates, because those affect the lump sum. So if you do not want to take the annuity, because some issues could be longevity issues with you, or maybe you're concerned about the paying ability of the company, or the fact there's no real inflation hedge there. So if you do want to take the lump sum, what's going to happen is they're going to take a look at that annuity, look at interest rates, and look at your life expectancy to determine how much do they have to give you for you to try and earn that same amount of income yourself. So when interest rates go down, which they have recently, you're actually going to see some of the larger lump sums that we've seen in the history. But before we kind of get into that, one of the concerns that some people do have as far as the annuity is going to be, the paying ability of the company. The PBGC, which is the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, does back pension plans up to a certain extent. So let's say hypothetically, if your company were to go under, there is a chance that you would lose that pension, but the PBGC would step in and cover that pension for you, up to a limit, however. So it all depends upon how old you are at the time of that bankruptcy. So right now, somebody who's 60 years old, the cap is about $3,700. It's actually $3,778. So if you were hypothetically had a $5,000 a month pension and the company went under and you were 60 years old, that $5,000 a month would actually drop down to that $3,700 a month. So you would actually lose about $1,300 a month on your pension for the rest of your life. Now, if you were older, each year it goes up. That cap's going to get higher and higher. If you were 70 years old, the cap's all the way up to about $9,600. So again, the older you are, the greater the chance of security there is. But the younger you are, there is a risk of losing some of your pension if something were to happen. Now, when we talk about the interest rates associated with the lump sums, as I mentioned before, as interest rates go down, your lump sum is going to come up. If interest rates go up, your lump sum is going to come down. And if you take a look at this chart, it just shows you the quick seesaw pattern we're looking at. But think about it like a mortgage. If interest rates are low, you can afford a bigger house or afford a bigger mortgage. If interest rates are low, the company has to give you more money to try and generate that same amount of income. Now, below is going to be the segment rates, depending upon your specific pension plan. Some use the 30-year treasury rates, but most use the segment rates, which has got a first, second, and third segment rate where it's tied to corporate bonds. And we look at the first covers the first 5 years of retirement, the second covers the years 6 through 20, and the third segment covers years 21 and beyond. So for the most part, that middle term, that second segment, is going to be the biggest factor to look at. But if you can see on this page, we've got the segment rates for the last about the last year or so. And if you take a look in the bottom right, you can go down and see the second segment for April 2019 was actually 3.88%. And we fast forward to today, it's actually 2.88%. So we've actually had a drop of about 1% there. So generally speaking, a 1% change equals anywhere from about an 8 to a 12% change in your actual pension plan or your lump sum. So the basic rule of thumb is 1% equals 10%. So if you had a $500,000 pension lump sum last year, it could be up to $550,000 this year. If you had $1 million, it could be up to $1.1 million. Now, unfortunately, the opposite rings true. If interest rates start to come back up, which they probably will eventually, it's just a matter of how quickly they do and when they start coming up, you can see a drop. So that $1 million lump sum could actually drop by 10% and go down to $900,000. That's why it's very important to run the cash flow analysis if you are within the next few years of retiring, because if you're looking to retire next year and interest rates actually drop and you would actually go up and you were taking the lump sum, you could effectively be working for next to nothing or at least a reduced salary. So as I mentioned before, if you take a look at these rates, we've seen about a 1% drop on the midterm and even greater on the first segment. So as I mentioned before, the cash flow analysis is something that we do provide for you. It's complimentary. Right now about 3/4 of Americans over 50 actually have never done a financial plan. So if you can give us about maybe 5 to 10 minutes to gather a little bit of details, we can actually run one for you and do all the hard work, and then set some time to go through that and review it together and let you know where you stand and see if there's any adjustments that you need to look at. And for those of you that we've run a cash flow analysis before, if it's been over a year, given the interest rate changes and the change in the market, it's definitely something we recommend that we update for you as well and run a new one. Now, in the end, we'd love to work with you, but obviously, if you are working with somebody else, that we do recommend, we actually recommend our clients every few years to get a second opinion. So if you are working with somebody, feel free to grab a second opinion from us. Make sure if you are working with somebody, you understand. Make sure they understand your benefits plans, whether it's the pension, the healthcare, or the 401k. Make sure you understand their fees. Again, as a independent firm, we are fiduciaries and we're transparent about our pricing. We're not a one-size-fits-all where everybody goes into the same solution. Our goal is to run that cash flow analysis and back into a few different choices for you and go through those various options and let you know the pros and cons and help you decide on what's the best fit for you. And then again, make sure you're working with an experienced team that's supporting you. So that way it's not just a one person doing everything. Determine what it is you value, but again, most importantly, run that cash flow analysis and make sure they do it from a conservative standpoint. You do not want to be too optimistic when it comes to planning. So again, when we run our cash flow analysis, we run it for a very conservative standpoint so that we can make sure that you're going to be safe throughout retirement. And then with that, I just want to kind of wrap it up. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and give us a call at 1-800-900-5867 or look us up on the web at theretirementgroup.com. I want to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of their day. And again, don't hesitate to call us with any questions on the pension plans themselves. Thank you and have a great day.